Hello, class 10th. I'm here with biology chapter number 8, How Do Organisms Reproduce? Now, before we discuss the mechanism by which organisms reproduce, let me ask some more basic questions. Why do organisms reproduce? Like, we have studied in life processes that reproduction is not at all necessary to maintain the life of an individual organism, like for example nutrition, respiration, excretion. These life processes are important for an individual, right? And for reproduction a lot of energy is needed, right? To create a new individual a lot of energy is needed, a lot of energy is spent in this process. So why should an individual spend such a lot of energy which is not at all necessary for his own personal maintenance of life, right? This is also obvious that we observe a particular species because they reproduce. Let's, for example, think that if there was a particular organism which was non-reproducing, so it would be doubtful about its existence, right? So a group of species, if it is present, that means they reproduce. That is why they exist on this earth. Thus, we can say that reproducing organisms create new individuals that look very much like themselves. If you look around yourself at the organisms of a particular species, you will observe that a particular species is an exact copy of its parents. Now, to produce the exact copy of the parents, there should be a particular blueprint also which should be exact. The blueprint which it got from the parent should also be copied in the similar way, right? So, reproduction at its most basic level will produce the copies of the blueprints of the body design. You have studied in your ninth class about chromosomes, which are present in the nucleus, and you have also studied about its division also. Chromosomes contain information for inheritance in the form of DNA, and the full form of DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid. Now, the DNA in the cell nucleus is the information source for making proteins. If the information is changed, different proteins will be made. Now, different proteins will eventually lead to altered body designs. Therefore, a basic event in the reproduction is the creation of a DNA copy. Cells use chemical reactions to build copies for their DNA. This creates two copies of the DNA in a reproducing cell, and they will need to be separated from each other. Now, keeping one copy of DNA in the original cell and simply pushing the other one out would not work. So, DNA copy is accompanied by the creation of an additional cellular apparatus. And then the DNA copies separate, each with its own cellular apparatus. Effectively, a cell divides to give rise to two cells. Now, these two cells are, of course, similar, but no cell will be identical. Why? Because no biochemical reaction is absolutely reliable. Therefore, it is only to be expected that the process of copying the DNA will have some variations each time, and therefore, the DNA copies generated will be similar but may not be identical to the original one. Now, the question is, why is there variation? What is the importance of variation? Now, populations of organisms fill well defined places which are called as niches in the ecosystem, using their ability to reproduce. The consistency of DNA copying during reproduction is important for the maintenance of the body design features that will allow the organism to use that particular niche. Now, reproduction is therefore linked to the stability of the populations of species. But niches can change because of reasons beyond the control of the organisms. And now those reasons could be rise in temperatures on Earth, which can go up also, and it can go down also. Now water levels can also vary, and even meteorite can also hit. Now you can also think for some more examples, right? Like cyclones, volcanic eruptions, and all. Now, because of this, population of reproducing animals, they actually they are suited to a particular niche, and if the niche were drastically altered, the population could be wiped out. However, if some variations were to be present in a few individuals in these populations, there would be some chance for them to survive. So, variation is thus useful for the survival of species over time. And this inbuilt tendency for variation during reproduction is the basis for evolution. So, now let us discuss the modes of reproduction used by different organisms. So, there are two types of mode of reproduction: asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. We'll discuss about asexual reproduction first, which is used by single organisms. Means there is no involvement of both the parents. Only single parent is involved to produce daughter cells. So the types of asexual reproduction is fission, fragmentation, regeneration, budding, and vegetative propagation. There is also spore formation, and there is one specialized type of vegetative reproduction called as tissue culture. We shall discuss about all these modes of reproduction in the next video.